Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another podcast episode. Excuse you. Sorry, if you hear like a little pitter patter in the background, it's because of my dog. And sometimes when I start talking, he kind of goes crazy and bizarre and he just doesn't know what's happening, but he thinks I'm leaving. I might have to say that every episode, but I hope not. And I just hope he gets used to it. But he thinks that something's going on and I'm about to abandon him, which that isn't the case. Welcome back to another podcast episode. I think it is episode 5. Today has been really cloudy, but also really freaking cold out. It's minus 30, and I think that's with the windshield. So it's really cold out. I don't want to be going out and doing anything. The only thing that I am going to be going out for is just going to the gym. But other than that, I am going to be cozied up all day and just do my work inside. I was planning to go to a cafe, but maybe I will do that tomorrow. But anyways, hello guys, welcome back. My name is Anna, and if you're new here, I am 24 years old. I live in Edmonton, Alberta. If you are new here, I like to talk all things with self-love, confidence, spirituality, stepping out of your comfort zone, escaping the matrix, just a lot of topics that I want to talk about that not a lot of people seem to, and one-sided perspectives that you don't really see the other side of opinions. So my podcast is just like no type of judgment at all. And if you do like to judge, then I suggest you click off this podcast, because in this podcast, we are going to be very open-minded. Like I said on my first ever episode, I was like, if you're going to be listening or watching this podcast, you need to have an open mind, because I will be talking about things that make you think like, holy shit, like I'd never thought about that. And I only thought of this one opinion, and that one opinion only that mattered. In the further episodes that I do record, you guys will see a little bit of a different perspective with life and how I view things differently. So today's setup is the same that I have been doing for the last few episodes of me just being in my spiritual creative art space area, and I just feel so at peace. And before I even decorated this so-called dining room, which used to be, I wanted this to be like a different space in my house where it's not just, doing all things meditating and all things reading. I wanted this space to be a very creative room. So like I'm healing my inner child by just having a piano in here, having some canvases and paint, and doing some coloring, and just making this room a lot more different than the rest of this house or home, because this home feels a lot more different than the last place I used to live in, because I felt so congested in the townhouse that we used to live in. Anyways, this episode is going to be all about influencers and their false reality, and talking about de-influencing and influencing, because I can have a lot to say about this, especially that I am in this career path that I'm taking. I feel like I do have a lot of experience when it comes to this, and just a lot of things that I have seen that should be normalized, and people need to start talking about it more. Before we get started on this topic, of course, I have to drink my water and make sure that I'm hydrated this whole time, because the last few episodes, my voice ended up cracking and it just wasn't it. So I think we all know by then what the internet is like and what is real and what is fake, but sometimes you don't really necessarily know if they're being their true selves or not. But I think it's kind of easy to tell when they're faking something or not. But what we're going to talk about first is this new trend called de-influencing. And I think it's my most favorite trend of all time right now. And it will be a favorite of mine just because we need to change this whole perspective on influencing. And I think what I like to call myself is a content creator rather than an influencer. And I know, like, as an influencer, you are influencing people, but a content creator is just like someone who's just very creative with their work. And I feel like it's a lot more different, just because like an influencer seems like someone who is Addison Rae or Charlie D'Amelio, like one of those big stars, and now they are called probably an A-list celebrity. So what de-influencing means to me is that they are content creators rather than influencers that encourage people not to buy or use something. And like, Anna, what the hell? What the fuck does that mean? But you see so many influencers online talk about this product, and apparently it's like the biggest trend right now, and everyone's got to try it. But when you actually do have the product, it's not the product that they tell you of what it is, because it's just false advertisement. There's just so many things when it comes to de-influencing. You don't need all these materialistic things, or you don't need to stock up on so much makeup or stock up on so many new hair products or new body wash products or something that someone says that you need, you probably don't need. And the power of influencer marketing lies in how much the audience trusts the creator they follow and the brands they promote. So, a lot of these big influencers may have like a huge following, but sometimes they don't have a very loyal following. But on the other hand, like if you were to talk about Charli D'Amelio, I'm sure that anything that she promotes, all of her followers would buy. So I just can't believe we as a collective are finally admitting that overconsumption is getting out of control, because it is. And like there's just so much waste that so many of us buy that we don't even use. As someone who used to have a bad spending problem, which was me, I would literally buy anything that was trending or something that I saw that was just an interest to me. I would instantly buy it. I used to want to buy so many things that are aesthetic, making it seem like my life was aesthetic by things that were just super nice and adding novelty into my life, which was okay, which was fine. And it's not bad to buy things that you want. It's okay to treat yourselves every now and then. But when overconsumption is like your coping mechanism, like it was mine, not only is it bad for the planet, not only is it bad for your mental health, but also you're making yourself super broke. So apparently right now, this mascara, this telescopic L'Oreal mascara is on trend right now. And apparently it's a very controversial makeup product because it may work for you, but it may not work for other people. So I guess it depends on the reviews itself as well. But if you have mascara that you can use, you don't need to go buy a new one. If you know it's about to expire, then go and restock. But you don't have to go and buy a bunch of 3 or 4 new different mascaras because it's something you might need, which you clearly don't. Like if there is something that everyone else has and you don't, you shouldn't have to feel bad about not having that t-shirt, not having that mini skirt that everybody has, or not having that certain makeup product that everybody has, because it isn't gonna change your life. Maybe internally it might change your life, but what is it really gonna do? And I'm not saying that you aren't allowed to buy these things. It's more so of what is it that you need and what is it that you want. In my honest opinion, I think that there are 2 different groups of what it's like being an influencer. And one is those who genuinely influence people, and then 2, those who've been influenced themselves. With people who are influencing because they've been influenced, it's just continuing the cycle. We saw this person that goes and buys the mini Uggs, then this person B goes and buys the mini Uggs themselves. Now person C goes, and it's just a continuous cycle. So it's not about needing a pair of new boots that are the Uggs brand because everybody has it. You can go get a pair of boots from any other store and wear them as you should. Because if it is expensive to you, all you're doing is just making yourself more broke. And what I think that people are more prone to watching now is anything that is relatable, because seeing everybody that's an influencer living a lavish and aesthetic lifestyle, it is not attainable to some people. And the content that you see that's perfect, in quotations, is not the life that they live. Okay, you just see it on camera. You don't know how many times they have retried to do that perfect piece of content. I think what people want is something more relatable and something that's not always aesthetic. And I'm not going to hate on people that do film like an aesthetic morning routine or anything like that, but sometimes to other people that are watching, it does make them feel bad, and not everyone can relate to something like that. But from my experience, when it comes to, having all these aesthetic things, having an aesthetic kitchen with like a marble countertop, I also have to realize that not everyone can have like the same aesthetic kitchen. But also now, I don't go and buy a bunch of new different cups because the new trending cup you see on TikTok is something that everyone should buy. Like if you have cups, use them. You don't have to go and buy a whole new set just because TikTok said so. Sometimes the more even expensive body wash or expensive perfume, expensive hair care doesn't have the same or even more benefits than the one that's a lot cheaper. But I'm not going to say go buy the cheaper ones, because sometimes buying the expensive things are a lot better, because in the long run, you do want to invest in your self-care, invest in yourself. But what I'm saying is that if it's something that you can't buy, you don't need to buy it just because everybody else on TikTok has it. So personally, what I like to do for my TikTok content is, even though I do post morning routines or, like my spiritual reset routine, I always want to mention to my followers that this isn't always like the lavish lifestyle that I live, because it's not. I always like to tell them the BTS and a lot of the things that I do film, I like to tell you guys on YouTube the most, because this is a platform where you can talk more and it's not a 3-minute video or like a 60-second video. So I try my best to always explain, not every day is going to be perfect. Not every day is an aesthetic, but I always say you have to do a morning routine that is best for you. So someone who has like 5 or 6 tasks on their morning routine, someone else probably wouldn't be able to do it because they have like a 9-to-5 job and they wouldn't be able to do everything at home or go to the gym and read and journal and meditate and do all these things. So I do wish a lot of more influencers talked about that, but sometimes they like to keep their niche very specific and just aesthetic routine, aesthetic routine, aesthetic routine. Okay, so this is something that I want to share, and I feel like it would be like an aha moment for a lot of you guys that wonder, like, how does she do these things without feeling so stressed? With a lot of my content that I do regarding to morning routines or anything, when I do like my journaling or reading, I like to film first before I actually do the thing. So like if I were to do like a whole routine on video, sometimes this is not the case, but for the most part, if I were to do like a routine that I had to cleanse my rocks, I had to do reading, I had to do journaling, I wanted to meditate for 5 minutes, I wouldn't focus my time when I am filming that piece of content, because I wouldn't be consciously thinking about what I am doing. All my thought process goes into the creativity of the video. And that's why when people ask in my TikTok comments saying like, how do you do it all? Like, don't you feel stressed out when you film these? Or like, you don't get everything done? Like, you don't feel like you're fulfilled with what you do? It's because I don't do it when I'm recording. So I don't know if it's with any other creator that does this when they do like a certain routine, but I think it's a little bit different when it comes to like morning routines or night routines, because you actually have to do the steps and you can't just, repeat it again unless it's something that you consciously have to think about in terms of reading a book or doing some journaling, because that does take time and it does take more focus to doing that thing. But when you're cooking, I feel like it's a lot easier, or when you're making your bed, you're actually doing the thing. So it's kind of hard to put your mind into things when you are recording. Now let's talk about this lifestyle, this influencer lifestyle that everybody has or everybody wants. It is not going to be attainable for everybody, because not everyone's going to have like an aesthetic kitchen. Because when I used to live at home, I didn't have like all these pretty things that I could just add into my videos, because everything or anywhere that I filmed was unaesthetically pleasing. And now that I have my own home, which took hard work and dedication, okay guys, I didn't just get here and buy everything because I wanted to. It took some hard work, and it took a lot of time and patience to save money and work hard for things that I want. But when I lived at home, I could only film so much of what I had, and the only aesthetic, and I'm saying that in quotations just in case like anyone is listening, I'm saying that the only aesthetic thing I really had was things I had in my room. And even then, I wasn't able to afford anything that I wanted to because I just didn't have the space for it. And even when I had like my little morning routines or like cooking videos when I lived at my parents' house, it wasn't like a really pretty kitchen. Everything there that you see was a very traditional and not so modern home. And as I scroll through TikTok and seeing everybody have like such a modern and like aesthetic apartment, that's all I wanted. So what I'm trying to say here is that you can do anything that you want. You can build the dream life you want. You can have the dream home you want as long as you work hard for it. And I just wish some influencers were more real with that, because all they show you is like their pretty Chanel bags or their Louis Vuitton bags. Whatever materialistic thing that you see online and something you don't need, you don't have to buy it. You might not even like it in the first place. I used to be someone who would just buy things impulsively without knowing the reason why I actually bought it. And then I would feel like shit, because then, oh, I wasted my money on this, but I never really needed it. But I do like to be an open mind. I don't want to say like all influencers are bad and they're just showing like their perfect side, because I do like to keep an open mind with the perspective that they might have and the perspective that we might not be able to think of. So with all the new content creators that are very new to this space and trying to figure out or how they want their content to look, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just post that content that you want to post. You don't always have to look perfect for the camera and wear these fancy clothes to impress people on the internet, because at the end of the day, no one gives a crap and they will just want to see the content that they want to see. And sometimes all they want to see is just relatability and people being their authentic self online. You guys seeing me right now with what I'm wearing, I literally wear this jacket all the time. Even these black flared leggings, like I am always wearing this. I'm not ashamed of it. So I just want you guys to know that it is okay to have the things you already do have, and just to invest in the things you need when you do need it. All right, so I was actually going to end my podcast episode. I feel like there's a lot more to be said when it comes to this influencing world, or this new world we live in with social media, and I just wanted to extend on it and talk a little bit more about it with this conversation and topic. So that's what we're going to do. I was going to do a part 2. Maybe I will still, and maybe I won't. But this podcast might be a little more longer than the other ones. We will see. But right now, I just felt like taking my mic out today and going more in depth with what I wanted to say about this topic. So it's nice for me to tell you guys that I have 2 points of views on this, because with being an influencer or content creator, I can tell you guys why they do the things that they do, but sometimes it's very unrealistic of someone to do the things that they do, because it's all such a lie when these influencers say that this is what they do, but realistically they don't. The other half of influencers being very genuine and saying their honest review, so that the person watching on the other side, that is a person of influence or the consumer or the follower or whatever, they have a certain take on their opinion on the influencer. So I know it may not sound like it makes sense, but this is why we'll get into it. As a person who follows an influencer, you are most likely to want to buy that thing because that influencer says that you should buy something, which in this case, not everything that they say you should buy. This is your call. This is all in your control, whether you want to keep spending the money that you want to because of these products and because the influencer says so. These influencers aren't going to stop you from telling you what you should buy, because it is their job to influence you and make money from it. From one standpoint to another, you won't really understand the other side of a story or the other side of the influencer's world if you don't know the business side of things. But then also, it's just so controversial, because I feel like content creators, influencers, or whatever, with things that we do advertise online, I feel like we should be a lot more genuine and actually be more sincere with the things that we do advertise, because you can tell if someone's just filming something for a brand deal to make money out of it, or if they're very genuine and actually appreciates the product, then there is really no lie to be told there. And from someone who works on social media and knows that side of everything, sometimes we aren't all honest, or we might say things for a brand deal that seems scripted, because it is. And some of you guys may not know, because when you read up a contract from a company or a brand that you are working with, sometimes lots of them are going to give you like a campaign brief that you have to read over and say the things that they say on there. And then it doesn't seem very genuine. Me being like a content creator, I always want to try and reach out to them and negotiate like what other words I can say instead of like the words that they have implemented. in the brief because I don't want to sound like a fraud and make it seem like I don't use their product. You don't always have to say yes to these opportunities when it comes to a brand deal, because for the most part, it really won't get you anywhere if you say yes to every single opportunity. If your followers are very loyal, they're gonna know that you're just being fake and what you're posting isn't what you would normally post. So from one content creator to another, it's better to be very authentic and genuine, to be your best self online, because you will not go anywhere if all you want is the money and all that you want is to chase the money. Recently, something came up. Suddenly, I've been on that type of For You page for the past few days, and now I'm just very interested in it. But so, as some of you may know, there's this rivalry going on between Selena Gomez and Hailey Bieber. And even though I am a stan of Hailey Bieber, there was one post that really made me skeptical and made me think, like, these celebrities don't seem to care that much about what they do, and they might seem passionate about it, but really the truth comes out, and there's so much that goes in on the celebrity world. And I was just like in such a rabbit hole when it came down to like Selena Gomez and Hailey Bieber, and how like Hailey was a stalker at one point. But anyways, with her skincare, or anyone's skincare in general that, you know, is an A-list celebrity, do we really need to buy their product? Because we can buy skincare products or makeup products that are at a drugstore without having to spend like $100 worth of all these products that you may have not needed because you thought it was like the best skincare or best makeup product ever. But not everyone's skin is going to work the same. We're just going to take it back to Hailey because there was a video about this. So I was just like, okay, I need to say something about this and see your guys' point of views too. But she dropped like her own skincare line, which is called Rhode. And apparently, she went to the same chemist and manufacturer that Kim and Kylie's skincare company went to. So what makes you think it's gonna be any different? Maybe Hailey was like, switch some things up, and like, even though she was really into skincare, you never know. Some of these products are probably the same, but just shifted a little bit of their formulas to make it a little bit different. So when you look at the products themselves and you go onto Hailey's site, looking at the products, there was no SPF or retinoid. So like the bare minimum when it comes to skincare, especially when you're entering your mid to late 20s, SPF is very important. Now that I'm getting older, I want to be taking care of my skin and wanting to make sure that I do get like the best products, or making sure that I get the certain type of formulas that are for my skin. But SPF, girl, we need all that. Like, we need to be putting sunscreen in our skincare routine in the morning. Not everything you have to buy because it's trendy or because the celebrity came out with a new skincare line, a new makeup product, and you have to go get it, because you don't. So that's the tea there. Just going back to all the overconsumption, just buy what you need. If you want to treat yourself, go right ahead. Like, there's no problem on treating yourself on things that are expensive, but it's good to be good with your money. Money isn't just money. It is a frequency. You have to understand that we can't just be abusing it. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Make sure you go check out my other podcast episodes if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next week.